I've never been someone who throws money around. But when it came to family, I always made exceptions. Dad was turning 60, and I wanted to do something big. He talked about Japan for years, ever since I was a teenager, saying how he wanted to walk Kodo's bamboo forests and eat real ramen with a view of Mt. Fuji. So I did what I thought any decent son would do. I booked the whole damn trip. Round-trip flights. A boutique hotel near Tokyo Tower. Private bullet train seats. I even found a place in Kyoto that offered a personalized tea ceremony for our family. Total cost? $9,412.83. Every last cent paid out of my pocket. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I just sent a message to the family group chat and said, "Pack your bags. We leave in 3 weeks." The messages blew up. OMG. No way. You serious? Everyone seemed excited. Except me. I was just relieved to finally do something meaningful for Dad. I didn't expect a parade. Then, 5 days before departure, I got the text. "Hey, hope this is cool with you, but we gave your spot to Kevin's girlfriend. She's more fun anyway, lol." That was from my sister. I stared at the screen, thinking it had to be a joke. But no, my seat, my hotel room, my name on the itinerary had been reassigned to Kevin's girlfriend. Kevin, my younger cousin. His girlfriend of 6 months. Her name was... I don't even remember now. Let's call her Tiffany. They gave my spot on a trip I fully paid for to Tiffany. Because she was more fun. I didn't reply right away. I just sat there, stunned. Like my brain short-circuited trying to compute the entitlement. The audacity. The casual cruelty of it. I finally typed back, "Got it." That was it. Just 2 words. No sarcasm, no exclamation marks, no rage. But inside, I was already rewriting the entire story. That night, while they were probably group FaceTiming Tiffany to share how excited they were for Japan, I was on the phone canceling flights. All 6 of them. I got partial refunds for some, credits for others. The hotel reservation? Gone. The rail passes? Voided. The cherry on top? The spa reservation for Dad and my stepmom on day 3, I rebooked it under my name and pushed the appointment by a month. Still plan to use it. No one noticed. I made no announcement. Let them pack. Let them dream. Let them board a plane that wouldn't exist. 3 days later, they were texting like everything was still on schedule. Then came departure day. I got a call at 4:17 a.m. It was my sister. "Where are the tickets?" I didn't answer. "We're at the airport, and we can't find our flight." "What's going on?" Still no response. I just let her panic. I heard Dad in the background asking what was wrong. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered that "she's more fun anyway" line, like I was the family's old coat to be left behind in the closet. So I blocked her and went back to sleep. When they came back 3 days later, still stunned, still angry, still confused, they found the locks had been changed. You see, my sister rents the guest house on my property. A little 1-bedroom cottage I renovated years ago with my own hands. It was a sweetheart deal. She paid less than half market rate. I never raised it. Until that day. I emailed her a new lease. Triple the rent. 30-day notice if she declined. The locks? Already updated. I'd given her a heads up in the contract. Break clause due to vacation deception and property disrespect. Legalese courtesy of my friend Max, who happens to be a real estate attorney. And just because I was feeling particularly petty, I had the Wi-Fi changed too. Then, I walked to the local coffee shop, the one they all frequent, and had their family cards removed from my prepaid tab. I didn't think it would matter. But that's when it got really good. Because their cards? Declined. Right at the counter. In front of their favorite barista. With Kevin's girlfriend standing right there. And that? That was just the beginning. 3 days after the airport fiasco and coffee shop humiliation, the group chat exploded like a firework factory on the 4th of July. My sister, Kevin, and Tiffany, yes, she joined the chat. Bold move, all demanded an explanation. Tiffany had the nerve to say, "It was your gift to the family. You can't take it back." I didn't reply. I don't explain myself to people who call replacing me a vacation upgrade. But I didn't stay silent either. Instead, I sent a screenshot of the refund confirmations. Airline, hotel, train, spa, all with their names crossed out. Mine circled in green. I added one sentence. "Next time, pay for your own damn fun." Then I left the chat. The next morning, my sister tried to ambush me at the main house. She banged on the front door for 10 minutes, screaming about familial betrayal and how I was ruining Dad's birthday. She really expected me to feel bad. Let's pause here. My father, the man whose birthday was the whole reason for this trip, never once texted me to ask why it was canceled. Not when they realized their flights didn't exist. Not when the hotels lost their reservations. Not when their wallets got embarrassed over iced lattes. Not a single word. Because Dad knew. He knew they cut me out. He knew they gave my seat, my spot on the trip I saved months for, to Kevin's girlfriend like I was some random extra in their little family play. And he didn't say a word. Not to me. Not to them. He just let it happen. So no, I wasn't sorry. And yes, I was just getting warmed up. Kevin was next. He DM'd me on Instagram, of all places, because I blocked his number after he sent a meme of someone being kicked off a plane with the caption, "Could have been you, bro." His message this time? A photo of Tiffany crying. She was sitting in her car, eyeliner smudged, holding her phone like it had personally betrayed her. Under it, he wrote, "Hope you're happy. You made her cry." I stared at the message for a solid minute. Then I replied, "Only tears I regret are the ones I used to waste caring about this family." And blocked him too. But it didn't stop there. Because remember, my sister still lived on my property. The guest house lease was legal, but I hadn't expected the sheer level of petty revenge she'd try to cook up once the trip, and her dignity, went down in flames. She started leaving passive-aggressive post-its on my mailbox. "You must be so proud of yourself. Dad says you broke his heart. Hope your coffee tastes good knowing your niece thinks you're a monster." And my favorite. "Tiffany would have shared the onsen with you, winky face." That one? Straight into the family group chat. Yes, I rejoined just for this, with one caption. "You'll got 24 hours to get her out of my house, or I'm calling a tow truck for the kids' bikes and a locksmith for the doors." Dad called at night. Not to apologize. Not to ask what happened. Just to say, "Son, you need to let this go. Family fights aren't worth it." I asked him one question. "Why didn't you speak up when they kicked me off the trip?" He went quiet. For 6 full seconds. Then mumbled something about not wanting to cause drama, and Tiffany really wanted to see Japan. I hung up. Then called Max, my lawyer friend, and asked if I could legally evict my sister early based on tenant misconduct, emotional harassment, and retaliatory behavior. He asked if I had proof. I sent him photos of the post-its, screenshots of Tiffany's messages, and a security cam clip of my sister telling a neighbor that my brother is just being a little bitch because no one likes him. He told me, "That'll do." The next day, she got a 30-day notice to vacate. Certified. Documented. Ironclad. Her reaction? She posted a 6-minute crying video on Facebook titled, "My brother evicted me because I took his seat on a plane." It racked up 200 views. Mostly friends of hers commenting, "Wait, you did what?" My inbox? Full of apologies. From cousins. From our Aunt Delilah. Even from a coworker of hers who messaged, "Bro, she told everyone you backed out. We had no idea she booted you for Kevin's girlfriend." That's insane. But the best part? Tiffany. Oh, Tiffany. She tried to play peacekeeper. Said she didn't ask to be chosen, and just wanted to bond with the family. She claimed she didn't even know they took my spot, that it was just offered, and she said yes. She asked if we could meet for coffee to talk. I agreed. Why? Because I wanted to see the look in her eyes when I slid the coffee shop receipt across the table and said, "You'll need to cover this one. Your card declined last time." She didn't laugh. She didn't even blink. She just whispered, "You're really not going to forgive us, are you?" I said, "No, Tiffany. I don't forgive people who throw me out of my own gift and expect a smile." Then I stood up and left. That was the last time I saw her. But not the last move I made. Because if you think changing locks, canceling flights, and evicting freeloaders was where it ended, you're in for a ride. If there's one thing you learn when you come from a dysfunctional family with a shiny exterior, it's this. People care more about appearances than accountability. After the eviction notice went out, my sister started damage control, not with me, of course. I was the villain in her story. But with our extended relatives, the neighbors, her PDA mom squad. She painted herself as a single mother, displaced by her bitter brother's midlife crisis. Never mind that she was only single on weekends. Kevin stayed over more than half the week, even helped himself to my tools once. Never mind that she'd paid half rent for a guest house I built and maintained. And definitely never mind that she sold my spot on a luxury trip like she was dealing out concert tickets. She forgot one thing. I don't bluff. 3 days after the notice, I dropped off printed flyers in every mailbox on my block. They had a picture of the post-it Tiffany left, the text thread where I was booted from the trip, and a statement that said, "To clarify recent rumors, my sister is being evicted for disrespecting a legal rental agreement, not because I hate family. Please do not harass me on her behalf. Thank you." Signed with my full name and phone number. I didn't hear a peep after that, except from Mom. She called with a trembling voice, like she was about to cry. "Why are you doing this? You're tearing the family apart." I responded, "Mom, the family tore itself apart when it decided Kevin's girlfriend was more valuable than your son." She had no comeback, just heavy breathing. Then she muttered, "Well, your father's very upset. He's considering changing the will." There it was. The real nuke. The leverage they thought would scare me into submission. Dad's will. He'd always said the vacation home would go to me. The family cabin in the Rockies. He knew I'd take care of it. I'd even spent my own money on the last round of repairs. But now, I was being told that maybe it would go to Kevin, or my sister, as punishment. I said nothing for a beat. Then, "Cool. Let me know when I need to pack their stuff up there too." Click. Let me tell you a secret. If someone threatens to take something away from you out of spite, they never really wanted to give it to you out of love. So I made a decision. I took a day off work, drove to the cabin, and changed everything. I had the door code reset, replaced the garage opener, hid the spare keys. I updated the propane account to require in-person pickup, no more phone deliveries. Installed motion sensor cameras. And then, I logged into the Wi-Fi router and changed the name to Not Kevin S. Cabin. Petty? Absolutely. Necessary? Also yes. By the time the family realized what I'd done, Kevin was already on Route 4, a boys' weekend, with Tiffany's brothers. They pulled up to the cabin to find the gate locked and their phones suddenly disconnected from the Wi-Fi they thought was theirs. Kevin called me from a borrowed phone. "Bro, what the hell? I thought we had the place reserved." I answered, "I didn't get a Venmo request." "Dude, you serious right now?" As a stroke. He screamed something about being stranded, and I just said, "Try Tiffany's house. She's more fun, remember?" Click. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a lot of fire over one vacation. But it wasn't just a trip. It was 20 years of being treated like a placeholder. The responsible one who's expected to pick up the slack, pay for everything, never complain, and smile through every insult because that's just how family is. It was watching people who never lifted a finger claim ownership over things you built. It was finally seeing clearly. And once the smoke cleared, something strange happened. People started reaching out privately, cautiously, like they didn't want to be seen picking a side. A cousin messaged, "Dude, Loki, you did what the rest of us wish we had the balls to do." A former neighbor, "Your sister always acted like the world owed her a parade. You gave her the bill." Even my aunt, my mom's sister, called to say, if I had a guest house, she would have pulled the same shit. But the best part? Dad called. Not to threaten, not to manipulate, not to guilt trip. He said, "Son." I read everything. The text, the receipts, even that ridiculous post-it. I had no idea. I told him he did know. He just didn't care until it embarrassed him. He didn't deny it. Instead, he sighed and said, "I'm going to fix the will. For real this time. And I want you to be the executor." It wasn't an apology. Not really. But it was the first honest moment we'd had in years. And honestly, that meant more than the trip ever could have. Now, here's where things get spicy again. Remember Tiffany? The fun girlfriend? Well, turns out Kevin forgot to mention that I owned the coffee shop she got declined at. Yep, I bought it 3 years ago as a silent partner. It's a passion project I invested in during the pandemic, and I kept it quiet. Let the manager run the show, stayed behind the scenes. But when she told the barista I embarrassed her on purpose, the manager, my friend Chris, forwarded me the security footage and her Yelp review. 1 star. Full of lies. So I flagged it and posted a public reply under the shop's official page. We take pride in treating all customers equally. However, any suggestion that our shop targets guests is untrue, especially when those guests are using stolen prepaid cards from our staff owner's personal account. Be better. She deleted her account that afternoon. And Kevin? He texted from a new number that said, "Bro, you're literally a villain. Like a rich Batman, but petty." I replied, "Tell Robin I said hi." Then blocked him again. 3 weeks after Kevin got locked out of the cabin, After Tiffany got humiliated in a coffee shop she didn't know I owned, and after my sister's tears dried up into a crust of pity-laced manipulation, things finally went quiet. But quiet never lasts in a family like mine. It wasn't peace, it was plotting. I knew something was brewing when I got a phone call from my cousin Liam. Not a frequent flyer in our family drama, but he's one of the few who's not chronically delusional. He didn't even say hello. Just opened with, "You need to know what they're saying." Apparently, there was a new narrative circulating in the family Facebook chat, one I'd been removed from weeks ago for disrupting harmony. The updated tale? I was never supposed to be on the Japan trip. I offered to cover it, then flaked at the last second. Tiffany kindly stepped in to save the itinerary. I'd been acting increasingly unstable since my promotion at work. And, wait for it, I might be going through a mental health episode, so the family needed to handle me delicately. That last one? That hit differently. They weren't just spinning lies. They were weaponizing sympathy, trying to paint me as unwell, so they didn't have to answer for what they did. So I called the one person in my family who hadn't picked a side yet, my mom's older brother, Uncle Ray. He's not warm, not cuddly, but he listens. And more importantly, he's the one holding the keys to the family trust, which included assets my parents thought they controlled, but actually didn't. See, here's a fun twist no one really paid attention to over the years. The family cabin, the one my dad said was his to give, legally belonged to Uncle Ray. Dad had been managing it, keeping it in the family. But the ownership? That was locked in with Ray, ever since my grandfather died and didn't trust either of his kids not to sell it for a base boat or a backyard tiki bar. Ray was the executor. And guess who he quietly wrote into his end-of-life transfer plan? Me. Because I was the only one who ever visited him without needing something. So I told him everything. Every post-it, every text, every voicemail and veiled threat. I sent him copies of the flight cancellations, the rent hikes, the screen captures from Tiffany's "she's more fun anyway" text. Uncle Ray didn't say much. Just breathed through his nose and grunted. They forgot who built their damn house. 2 days later, I got an email from his estate attorney, confirmation that my inheritance designation was being accelerated. Which meant I now own the cabin, flat out. And not just that. The trust gave me full authority to renovate, rent, or sell it. Cue my next move. I called a real estate agent. Listed the cabin on a niche site for vacation properties. No flashy listing. Just enough to bait a specific kind of buyer. And I found one within a week. A retired couple from Oregon who'd been trying to relocate closer to their grandkids. They paid full asking price in cash. Just like that, the family cabin was gone. No more Kevin ski weekends. No more Mom's Dream Christmas Lodge. No more pretending we were a Norman Rockwell painting. When the sale closed, I posted a simple message to the group chat I'd been booted from. My cousin Liam screen shared it for me. Just a heads up, cabin sold. New owners take possession in 30 days. You might want to grab your forgotten jackets, fishing poles, or broken promises by then. The meltdown was nuclear. First came the texts, then the calls, then the voicemails. My sister wailed. Kevin threatened legal action. He'd watched one episode of Suits and thought he was Harvey Specter. My mom sobbed so hard she accidentally sent me a voice memo of her crying before calling. And my dad? He sent me an email with just one line. "You've become exactly what I feared you'd be." I stared at that sentence for 5 minutes, then hit reply and typed, "No, I've become what you made. Send." The final nail came 2 weeks later. Tiffany posted a breakup reel on TikTok. Yes, a reel. She used sad piano music, clips of her and Kevin in matching hoodies, overlaid text like "sometimes love just isn't enough broken heart," and "I swear on my soul," a caption that said, "When you lose your man in the Japan trip nail polish #girlbossfail." The comment section roasted her into next week. Turns out, once people learned she'd essentially hijacked a birthday trip from the person who paid for it, public opinion shifted hard. Even people in her circle backed off. She deleted her socials within 48 hours. Kevin tried reaching out to me again, this time, in a half-hearted attempt at an apology. Said he didn't mean for any of it to blow up like this. I told him to Venmo me for the 2 tools he borrowed and never returned. He didn't reply. Blocked again. At this point, I wish I could say I felt triumphant. That I leaned back in my ergonomic chair, cracked my knuckles, and whispered, "Justice served." But the truth? It was quiet. And lonely. And still. Because winning doesn't feel like winning when it's your own family you have to burn down just to protect your sanity. I didn't feel joy. but I did feel done. And that, honestly, was enough. It had been almost 2 months since the trip that never was detonated my family like a grenade in a sandbox. The cabin was sold. Tiffany was a ghost. My sister had moved out of the guest house and left the place smelling like coconut shampoo and entitlement. And for the first time in years, I could hear myself think. No texts, no guilt trips, just silence. Until Easter. That's when the invitation arrived. A thin white envelope, handwritten with that unmistakable cursive my mom had forced me to learn in 3rd grade. Inside was a folded card with pastel rabbits, the kind you'd buy in a rush at Walgreens. On the inside, in blue ink. Come home. Let's talk. We'll have dinner. Love, Mom and Dad. No mention of the trip. No apology. No reference to my sister, Kevin, or the cabin. Just come home. At first, I laughed. I held the card over the kitchen sink, turned it like it was some foreign artifact. But I didn't throw it out. I set it down on the counter and let it sit there. For 3 days. Until my neighbor, Oscar, retired, grumpy, and sharper than he lets on, spotted me staring at it while we were chatting over the fence. You going? He asked, sipping coffee from a mug that said number 1 curmudgeon. I shook my head. No reason to. Oscar squinted. Then why haven't you burned it? I didn't have an answer. Because deep down, maybe I did want a reason. Not to forgive them. Not to fix it. Just to finish it. So I showed up. Not to make peace. Not to break bread. To drop the last hammer. My parents were shocked when they opened the door. My mother gasped like I was Jesus back from the grave. My dad blinked 3 times and gave me a weird, unsure nod. The table was set with ham, deviled eggs, and awkwardness. I noticed Kevin wasn't there. Neither was my sister. Probably for the best. We made small talk. They asked about work. I asked about their garden. For 15 minutes, we played normal. Then I said, "You asked me to come home. So let's talk." All of it. My mother's fork froze mid-salad stab. My dad sighed and put down his glass. And for the first time in my adult life, they listened. I laid it out like a PowerPoint presentation with bite. The $9,400 trip I paid for, and how I was replaced with Kevin's 6-month fling. The eviction, the lies, the social smear campaign. The mental health narrative they floated so they wouldn't look like villains. The cabin. The sale. The aftermath. The feeling that, for decades, I was expected to give and shut up. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I was surgical. When I finished, my mother had tears in her eyes. My father stared at his plate. Then he finally spoke. "We didn't think you'd react like that." I blinked. That's what he had? That's what he took from it? That I overreacted? I stood up, pushed my chair in slowly, and said, as calmly as I've ever said anything in my life, "You don't get to be shocked that I stopped playing the game after you changed the rules without telling me." My mother whispered, "But we're family." And that's when it hit me. The final truth I needed to say out loud. No, you're relatives. Family doesn't kick you off the plane and expect a thank you card. Family doesn't hand your place to someone who calls you boring behind your back. Family doesn't gaslight you and call it keeping the peace. I looked them both in the eyes. You are not my family. You are my lesson. Then I walked out. I haven't spoken to them since. No calls. No messages. No more invitations. I don't know if they ever told my sister or Kevin what I said. Doesn't matter. I bought myself a new coffee machine. I work in peace. I sleep better. I breathe deeper. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the moment I got that text. "We gave your spot to Kevin's girlfriend. She's more fun." And now? Now I smile. Because she may have gotten the seat. But I took the wheel. And I'll never hand it over again.